Welcome to the Still Unsponsored Podcast.
Hello.
Hello. I'm Chris.
I'm Zach.
All right. We missed a week.
We did. My apologies.
You had some travel adventures.
I had some travel misadventures.
Tell me about them.
It's been a little rough. So, been traveling a little bit more just because, and tried to get home from Chicago last night, where my family lives. Let me tell you some pro tips I've learned. Actually, no. Let's start with the saga first, then we can get into the pro tips.
Yes.
So, it's a 12 o'clock flight, connect through St. Louis, from Midway, St. Louis, down to Austin. That's the plan, at least. So, we took off about 40 minutes late, cut the connecting flight real close. Like, we pretty much were missing it in the air because we were so delayed. We got up in the air. Storm came, of course. Kind of a freak storm. Really rough, harsh. Kind of this time of year, I guess. So we ended up circulating the airport in St. Louis for quite a while. All right. Going down. I'm watching on FlightAware. Going down. 2,500 feet.
Controlled descent. We should specify.
Shaky, but controlled.
Yeah.
Right? 2,500 feet. And then we decide to, we'll go around. At that point, we go up, and pilot's like, we're running low on fuel, so we're going to go to Kansas City. So you
got the storm divert.
So this was a 45-minute flight, mind you. All right. So we were probably in the air for, at this point, an hour and a half. So it was twice as long as it should have been. Then went over to Kansas City. Landed to fuel up. Let me tell you, the airport of Kansas City from the plane is a beautiful airport. There's like one gate. And so the operations person comes into the plane. Is like, hey, for all you 60 people that have connections, we don't really know what to do. So you have a choice. You can either stay on the plane or get off. We can't make the decision for you. Enjoy. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, great.
Okay, so this is enter pro tip number 1.
Book direct.
Well, okay, I was going to say don't get off the plane in Kansas City.
Don't get off. So you have to understand where you are, right?
Right.
So, St. Louis is a much smaller hub than Midway, especially for Southwest, which is the island I was flying.
Okay, so quick adjustment. I think you're talking into the back of the microphone.
Well, is this better?
Fuck yeah, it's better.
All right, rotate.
Hang on, I'm going to mute you and rotate it. So just look at the logo and then rotate it.
Okay, mute me.
See these? Yeah. So if you see those, here, let me help you.
Better?
Oh.
Do I have to start this over?
No, we don't have to start it over.
All right.
I think what was happening is we were just experiencing your delay through audio quality.
All right. Oh, that could explain why now it's lighting up.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right, well. This will be fun to edit.
Cardioid microphone. It only works in one direction.
Yeah. Well, this sounds a lot different. Okay. Yeah. So we get off of Kansas City. Pro tip number 1. Yeah. Do whatever you do. Try to fly through major hubs because you get screwed otherwise. Austin is not a major hub, but it sure as hell is a lot bigger than Kansas City. All right. So we fuel up, right? We're ready to go.
In Kansas City.
We fuel up.
Do you even touch a gate? Because they give you the option to get off. So you were at a gate.
Oh, we didn't get off. We stayed in the plane. My wife and I stayed in the plane.
Right. Because some people got off.
Oh yeah, there were a guy next to us was heading to Austin as well. I was like, I'm taking my chances and leaving. I'm like, all right. So
R.I.P. He's probably still in Kansas City.
Probably still waiting. Yeah. So we are literally waiting to take off until everyone finishes going to the bathroom on the plane. So there are literally people starting to say, "Sit down." It's starting to get a little aggressive. I mean, at this point, everyone's like, "Just hurry the F up. We need to get back." All right, so anyways, we fly back to St. Louis, half-hour flight, uneventful. We land, and we just stop on the tarmac for about an hour. The problem is this freak storm that came through decided to hail. And so when it hails, they have to inspect every single plane. There's one dude for the entire airport. So they legitimately had no other plane, no other gates open for us. So there were 6 planes sitting on the tarmac. We were there for an hour. Finally got into the gate, right? At this point, I'm looking at my phone. I'm listening around. People are like, oh, yeah, I'm on the Austin flight. It looks like it's been delayed. Think maybe they're waiting for us. Right?
No, they're not waiting for you.
I'm being hopeful. So we get off, and we go towards the gate. It's still being delayed. It's being delayed every 10 minutes. So they keep pushing it back every 10 minutes. Okay, this is a good sign. Good or bad, Right. Hopefully they keep it. So my wife's phone dies, so we end up waiting in line. And thank goodness we did, because the gate agent was like, oh, yeah, we canceled all you. So good thing you have to get rebooked on the flight. So I'm like, oh, Thank goodness for letting us know.
Right.
And I heard him mumble to someone like, "Oh yeah, this plane is going," because they were canceling them left and right because of the delays of the hail inspections. So this airport was a madhouse. The terminal was a zoo with people canceled, delayed, waiting to find out. It was like, Sophie's Choice. Are you going or are you not? It was a little dicey. So anyways, so we hop on the plane. It's like a freaking graveyard, right? There's like probably 50 people on the plane. Mm-hmm. There's trash everywhere. People like using cups to mark their territory.
So they didn't clean the plane.
No. This plane it's been delayed 4 hours at this point.
Right.
So people are like grumpy. There's coming on, coming off. So we camp out. We find a couple spots and we're just waiting to take off, right? And so then the operations agent comes on the plane. Amazing memory. She's like, "Oh yeah, you're so-and-so, and who are you, blah, 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 blah." So she goes through the entire plane. It's like, "Oh yeah, this flight's been canceled. Sorry guys." Head off the plane. And so my wife and I are just like, "You gotta be kidding me." So we're waiting to get off the freaking plane and they start inspecting it. The inspector comes up over the wing and starts flashing, like the irony. Yeah. So at this point, pro tip number 2, loyalty counts, right?
Yeah,
so we hop off the plane. We try to find an agent to help figure out what the heck we're going to do. And so I call up Southwest on the phone and go through all the prompts like, "Currently we're experiencing hello, this is so and so." Because I have A-list preferred, they tied my phone number.
Right.
I skipped everyone in queue.
Right.
So despite the madness, and this happened twice.
Yep.
Skipped the queue, went right up. And so he's looking for essentially flights to get us out. And he's like, "Yeah, there's a flight leaving in less than an hour, but I basically can't do anything within the hour." So pro tip number 2, when you call customer service,
I think we're at like 3 or 4 by now.
All right. Yeah. Well, pro tip addendum. The Southwest reps on the phones are essentially, imagine them sitting on a computer on
doing what you would
do.
They're like a virtual assistant.
Yeah, they can look up your account a little bit, but they really can't go beyond that. Right. So that's good to know. So anyways, we hop on. We basically find out that there's no flights to Austin. So this was 8:30 last night, and in order to get us to Austin, it would have been an 8 o'clock flight tonight from St. Louis, because again, it's not a hub. So we're like, "Hey, anything else around there?" There's Dallas, there's Houston, there's San Antonio. Turns out there's a San Antonio flight 9:30, 9:50 or something. So we land at midnight in San Antonio, go to the rental car center, and then drive home. So this entire journey, Chris, supposed to start at 12, land by 4:30, and record yesterday. I didn't get home in bed until 2 a.m. this morning.
Yeah.
But here's the icing on the cake, right? So we just wanted to get home. So then I had to get up this morning, drive my ass over to the airport, return the rental car, and go pick up my car from parking.
Yeah, totally. So I think if you travel a lot, everyone's had these catastrophes.
Yeah.
They happen. They will happen to you.
Yeah.
But you can minimize them by having status.
Yep.
Right. And then the other thing is route choice.
Be very selective.
So either get a direct, obviously first choice.
Yep.
But if you have to go through a hub that's within driving distance of your destination.
Or as a major hub for the airline.
And that's the other thing. Like if you have to fly in and out of an airport, wherever you can, hit the giant airports.
Yeah.
And I know it's a mess because then you have to walk further and there's millions more people. But the other side of that is if the plane breaks down, that airport has parts.
Yep.
If the plane breaks down to the point where they can't get the parts or they can't do the thing,
you're waiting. Along with everyone on the plane.
But you also have options at that other airport. So you want to be at a place that's going to give you the most flexibility.
Yeah. So other pro tips too. So let's continue these. Always remember it's not the representative's fault. Like
totally.
They're having a shitty day. The last thing you want to do is piss them off. If you're pleasant and nice and please and thank you, it goes a million miles.
Yeah.
Also, don't freak out. Like, it happens.
You're going to get home eventually.
Thank goodness, just traveling enough. My wife and I are like, all right, well, if we're stuck here in St. Louis for the night, we're pulling up hotels. We're looking for last minute deals. I'm looking at the different car rental options at different airports. So I can say, look, if we go to Houston Hobby, crap, the rental car center's closed past midnight. So let's figure out, okay, maybe San Antonio is a better route. So just stay calm. You'll get through it.
Yeah. I think the other thing that you mentioned there that is important is, this is like way like expert level, but flight aware.
Yeah.
So we're going down into minutia, but the whether or not a plane takes off in a storm is not the plane's call. It's not the pilot's call.
Right.
It's not the airline's call.
Right.
It's the air traffic control,
ATC,
right? And even like when you're rerouted, the plane will say like, I have this much fuel, and ATC will be like, you're going here.
Yep.
Right. So a lot of times the flight aware database gets updated before or either as the pilot becomes aware or before the pilot becomes aware of what's going to happen. So if you're waiting for someone on the ground and you see him circling, and then all of a sudden you see him taking off towards San Antonio or whatever, it's like you frequently will know what's happening before the passengers on that plane.
Yep.
Or if you're looking and you're sitting there, you'll get it before.
But okay, another amazing thing: the Wi-Fi worked. On every single flight, the Wi-Fi worked.
That's its own miracle. Okay, we should get back on track here. So the two things I had for this episode, outside of just travel misadventures, was Apple's iPhone X launch, and I think some of the product marketing, cool angles they're working. So we'll maybe spend like 10 minutes on that, and then we'll spend like 10 minutes on how would you market that segment.
Nice.
I think one of the things that we're focusing on is building things up from the ground with no jump start. Similar to this podcast, like
still unsponsored.
Still unsponsored. We don't have a jump start. So if you're listening to this, you either know us somehow, or we found you through one of our like really shady growth hackery things at this point, or the iTunes thing, which hopefully is starting to work for us. But yeah, so we're gonna help our friend with his ebook.
Yeah, cool.
So hopefully, yeah. Plus he's a listener, which is good. Okay, so Apple iPhone 10 just came out.
I haven't seen it. Let me see it.
Okay, there you go.
Hold on, I'm playing with the gang. Oh, hold on. All right, so continue.
Okay, so Apple sold out of those within 20 minutes of them going live. So I was awake at 2:05 a.m. Central Time, which was midnight Pacific Time, to grab the thing. And apparently within 20 minutes they were pushing orders back to December.
Gone.
So everyone's been talking, well, how the fuck did you get in there?
I swiped up.
Oh, it must have been unlocked because of here. Let me see this. Okay. All right. So it's definitely locked.
Yeah, not shaking. No, like no,
okay.
Asshole. No, you're not getting in.
Zach's just like going through my. I thought there was a misfire there with Face ID.
This is wow. You know what? I'm actually I thought there would be wow.
Okay, so $1,000 phone, right? Yeah. So everyone's been making a big deal about the price point, right? And that's the $1,000 for the 64 gigabyte, which I think we're going to come back to. But let's just talk about like raising your prices, right? Most people, I think, expect consumer electronics to go down because as technology advances, you would see declining prices.
Yep.
But inflation is going the other way, working against you, right? So inflation plus declining prices mean the ground's falling out from under you rather fast.
Yeah.
So how do you demand a premium for your product, and 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 work on like really jacking up those prices? And I think that so this device is basically about the same price as a MacBook now.
Close to it.
Yeah. Which is pretty insane, because I think that it just side by side, if you were looking at like, what do you think is a more valuable device, an iPhone 10 or a MacBook? At least I would say the MacBook.
Yeah.
Right. But pricing disagrees. So I think one of the things that's interesting to note is their installment plans. Like they're really, really pushing like these no interest loans, which makes it so instead of paying the $1,000 up front, you're paying like $50 a month.
Yep.
Well, all of a sudden that's a whole lot more palatable.
Yeah.
So
to be fair, they weren't the first ones starting to do that.
No, not at all. But then they also have the trade-in program and all this other stuff. So it's interesting. I think it's Apple's is maybe a little bit more consumer friendly versus being tied into AT&T. But yeah, I think I think that was like one of the interesting things starting probably 2 years ago is when they really started pushing that.
Well, it makes perfect sense for them.
Totally. Yeah. Right.
So $50 a month,
Right.
12 months, $600.
But do you think so? I think the answer is yes. But there's probably an MBA sitting in Apple somewhere saying, if we really push these installment plans, then we can raise the price $200.
That's what I was getting at. So like, frankly, it doesn't matter. As long as that price point's nice and low monthly.
Let's go extra finance nerd, right?
Uh-oh.
The company that gives you a loan is not Apple.
Yep.
Right. So Apple sells you this device for $1,000.
No. It's the leasing company that's selling you.
But what I'm saying is Apple gets to recognize their cash.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So Apple computers, if you own Apple stock, they just had an awesome fourth quarter.
$1,000 a phone.
$1,000 a phone. They're done.
Yep.
That loan is sitting on someone else's books.
Apple Leasing Company.
Apple Leasing Company, or Citizen One is what the name of the company.
Yeah, so
right?
It's a bank, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So a bank bought it, okay, and they're dealing with all the defaults and everything else.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. But fun finance trick. Okay, you got all your money up front, and now it's sitting on someone else's books.
Yeah.
So there you go. I think the other thing that's interesting to note is the 64 and 256. Like a couple years ago, there was 3 memory options.
So there's only the 2.
Now there's only the 2.
256 or 64.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I feel like that's a big gap between them.
It is, especially because most of their phones are coming with, well, you can at least use an expansion card too. Like that's the problem with Apple devices is whatever you buy, you're stuck in. You can't expand it. So, yeah, 64 is pretty small, relatively speaking, because the OS takes up 15.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And then the formatting.
So then they're trying to sell you iCloud, right? Which is going to help you optimize your storage on the device, which is, as a consumer, very happy with that product. But also every time I, see that bill come through for another
99 cents.
Yeah. Well, I think I've got the bigger plan now, so it's more like $4.
Oh.
But yeah, it's like, oh, okay, I just paid them $4, and thank you, cloud storage. So they're really raking that one in.
Well, I remember reading their services bucket, like on their earnings calls. It's nebulous what's inside there, but
totally.
it's huge, like $1 billion plus a quarter. Like it's insane.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's $1 billion, but it's insane number. Like it just keeps growing. All the cloud usage and everything else. Anywho.
So takeaway for a micro SaaS company that's looking to, put on their product marketer hat, bill monthly if you can.
Yeah.
You're doing cash accounting, so you don't really care about GAAP ARPS or something like that.
Right.
Some totally bullshit metric that's like purely fictional. Matters to your investors.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I definitely think that when you look at a receipt on your or a line item on your credit card, there's like a tipping point on well, is it worth the time going and finding the cancel link,
right?
Or is it not, right? Okay, so $4 every month, not a big deal, but that's assuming it's a product that someone doesn't use,
right?
You obviously want people using your thing. So I think the other pricing strategies that the clouds are using, which is start really small and work your way up.
Yep.
And sometimes when you look at the tiers, there's some substantial jumps in there.
Yep.
So if you're going from the personal plan to the business plan,
prepare to pay.
Prepare to pay. Yeah. So speaking of personal, so let me ask you an audio question. Does it sound like it's changing ever so often?
No.
No. Okay. It must be my headphones.
It could be my voice.
No. It almost sounds like for me, it's switches left, right. But
no.
I think it's my headphones.
All right.
Okay, so
Chooch.
yeah, let me check some connections here real fast.
Make sure it's plugged in.
It's plugged in. So I don't think we didn't talk about this in the beginning. We have a mixing board now.
They don't care about that.
Yeah. Well, so if it sounds different, that's why.
All right. Let's move on.
Okay. eBook. Okay. So here's the setup. Brian has a eBook. He is a long time it's a total B2B industry, right? So security cameras, He has been in the industry forever, well-known name as a product marketer. He has written an ebook that's currently divided up into, I can't remember what he said, 12 or 16 chapters that are sold for like $3.99 each.
Yep.
And wants to get more sales out of it, obviously. And it's a combined, this is good for him personally because it helps build his reputation in the industry further.
Published author.
It's good for his employer because, it's he's the subject matter expert who works for this company.
Yep.
So good all the way around. But, he has no marketing budget for this. And he also doesn't really have a built-in audience of his own. He speaks at trade shows, but not like, he doesn't have an email list. He doesn't have a blog. He doesn't have like something that he can fall back on as a launchpad.
Right.
So
put me in, coach.
Zach.
All right. So this is an interesting one because it's B2B, which is a lot
B2B.
more. It's a much more different thing than B2C, right?
Totally.
So your typical Facebook stuff's not going to work. Period. And even so, the paid stuff is nil. So we're assuming totally. How do I get everything for free? Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
now you want some substance, right?
Now I want some substance. All right. So, I think one of the places that I wanted to start was like, if you're marketing a product, you have one of two things that you can use. It's either your relationships or your budget.
Yep.
Right. So he doesn't have budget, obviously. Right. So, if you're doing this, you would either like the traditional route. Like if you went and like read a bunch of how to market my ebook, they'd say like, well, tell your blog audience about it. Right. So that would be a relationship.
Yeah.
Right. Or it would be like, go out to other people that need content and leverage their audiences because you're providing the content.
Right.
That's basically the direction we're going to go because again, no budget.
Yep. Yeah. So, you could do some, no budget guest blogging. So he's in the security camera industry. There's got to be websites about that.
Totally.
Industry,
100%.
trades, associations, be really, really publish that subject matter expert, offer to write for free.
Yep. Okay. So here was my master plan.
Here we go.
All right. First of all, the low barrier to entries, as we were just talking about in a consumer product, $3.99 a chapter, makes total sense.
Yep.
But to a business to business buyer, does that actually make sense? Right? Because a business to business buyer may actually also be expensing this because I doubt a lot of people are reading a book on security cameras.
Right.
For for a fun pastime. Right?
Who knows these days?
I don't know. The internet has a niche for everyone.
Sure does. Sure does.
But so I would say like repackage the book as a singular book and charge much more for it. Like $50, $500. Like go look at think back onto as a child going to Barnes & Noble. It doesn't really exist so much anymore. But you go into
still there.
They're still there somewhere. You go into the programming section or you go into the business section and there'll be these like textbooks and the textbooks are expensive. And it's, how to write COBOL, how to write Perl, how to write, and
go back to college, $150 a book.
Right. Because the audience is limited for those things, and so the costs are high.
Yep.
Right.
Ooh, this could be a long kind of game. He could become a part-time professor and then require everyone to buy his book.
I had that happen in college, actually.
A lot of them did that. They were the professors were the authors. Go figure. That's a really good idea.
So then my idea, I'm not done yet.
Continue.
Was take chapters and use them as like lead gens essentially. So go out and offer them to companies to send to their mailing lists, offer them as like, trade show collateral, offer them as, things that the industry bloggers can use for content and distribute online, and then you put calls to action in the chapters and say, if you want to read the rest of this, or this ties into this other chapter,
Yep.
go pick up the book for $1 million.
Okay. Here's another option.
Okay.
Here's how nerdy he wants to get.
Very.
He could set up an affiliate program like on ClickBank, and email his contacts that he already has, and says, "Hey, release a new book. I'll give you XYZ% for everyone you can recommend it to, and then makes a purchase."
Totally.
ClickBank can handle it all, or another service. Amazon actually might have something already built in for that. But essentially become a affiliate network operator and leverage his base already, so there's incentive for them to go crazy.
Totally. I would say if he wasn't, that would be a really good route to go if he wasn't, Saul already in like an industry expert.
Yep.
Because I think that like running an affiliate program, if you already have that level of credibility, is odd. I don't know. It seems incongruous.
All right. Replace affiliate with referral.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Can you get extra tricky and like when you put the calls to action of like, go buy my book on Amazon, it's in the free collateral chapter, or the chapter that you provided to the blogger. What you then do is put an Amazon affiliate link to your own book.
Yeah, why not?
Does Amazon let you do that?
I don't know. One way to find out. All right, so okay, we have recap.
To recap. Repackage the book.
Repackage the book for business, B2B.
One big chunk.
Raise the price, because with price comes kind of quality actually too.
Totally.
So the more you pay, the better you think it is.
Oh, that was definitely another thing.
The pricing psychology.
Right, exactly. Okay, so that's worth spending a moment on, because I think we both have consulting experience, and I remember one of my early mistakes was going into a client and saying, "Oh yeah, I'll knock out that SEO audit for like $50."
Yeah.
And they look at me like I'm crazy, and I'm like, $1,000? And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, okay, I was not at the point where you could take me seriously.
Well, consulting is an easy example, but when you're doing something you enjoy and it's a passion, or something you have experience with, you're taking for granted your experience that you have built in. So in Brian's case, he's an expert in this stuff, and the stuff he's writing about, to him probably is second nature.
Right.
But there's a value on that. There's something there that people will pay a premium for.
Totally.
Yep.
Totally.
Yep.
And definitely, we should definitely reiterate, like, I think this is like, obviously this is advice that other people that are building these things could use. Brian has these relationships through his industry stuff, otherwise you just have to go build them yourself.
Yep.
Right. Like if you don't have money, then you need to go make a lot of friends.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. And
yep.
So cool.
Or get some venture capital and see what happens.
More dangerous if you don't have that. Thing. Oh, the last part, the final suggestion was, sort of reverse order. Start blogging, right? So, start blogging. Potentially start a podcast. Use your book as the.
This is a horrible idea.
We don't suggest the podcast. Use the book as a way to pull people in.
Yep.
Right, to some of your other channels. So if the industry trade journal is willing to like let you publish and let you refer back to your ebook, like maybe they'll also let you refer back to your blog.
Yeah.
And I think there's examples. Daring Fireball might be an example where whatever that guy's name is, it's like there's a lot of like industry, like tech industry luminaries that have blogs that don't threaten the the news outlets. Right. Because it's one dude's opinion.
Yeah.
So then you keep your content a little bit more editorial.
Yeah. You're also missing the obvious stuff, like LinkedIn groups, since it's B2B.
LinkedIn groups.
There's probably a ton of them out there. You can just message and spam. Quora. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So very specialized niche things. And yeah, I would imagine it's probably a large niche per se, but it's also pretty tight. So that's
also, I think that like that work. So what we were just talking about is the basics of link building, right?
Mm-hmm.
That can work, but the level of effort versus what you're going to get out of it is not, I don't think, going to be there for him.
Right. Unless it's a pet project.
Yeah. Totally.
Time check.
Time check. I think we're good. 30 minutes. Boom. All right. And with that, we're done. So if you enjoyed this, leave us a review.
Or even if you didn't.
Or even if you didn't. Actually, preferably leave us a 5-star review on iTunes.
Yeah.
Subscribe on iTunes. Visit our website, stillunsponsored.com. Join our mailing list. If you really despised us, there's links to our social media profiles, and you can tell us, sort of to our faces that you didn't like our voice. Woohoo! You have a voice for podcasting.
Definitely. I think it's a face.
Not a voice
it's a face for podcasting.
A face for podcasting. Yeah, but we're live streaming, so yeah.
I feel bad for those people that are watching.
Hang on. Yeah, we can check. I don't think there's any.
All right.
You've all made smart decisions to spend time with your family tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Bye.